points of Vitruvius that I'll come back to later deals with math. Please don't give me a math test, by the way. And he was really someone who advocated proportion in his architecture. And his ideal of proportion was the human body. And he would say, look at the length from the human body from the toes to the waist. And then measure that. There's that word again, measure that. And then measure the distance from the waist to the shoulders and from the shoulders to the head, and you would have almost a perfect proportion there. And you'll see later on how this was used in architecture, not in Italy, but in Mexico. You have the wonderful buildings of the Italian Renaissance. Are you going to Florence?
Yes.
Okay, so you see the Duomo here, Brunelleschi's Dome, which is an adaptation. You take a look at this when you go inside. This is an adaptation of, it's an adaptation of the ancient Roman temple of the Pantheon in Rome. But then later on, it's an adaptation in the 15th century of the tremendous architectural achievement in Constantinople in the 6th century during the Byzantine Empire, Hagia Sophia. Anyhow, you'll see great examples of the Renaissance
Are you going to
architecture.
explain that, Tom?
No.
The circle on the square?
No. And you have the wonderful art. And this is Pietà, Michelangelo. I mean, I could have picked 3,000, that's an exaggeration, but maybe 2,999 examples of wonderful Renaissance art. I mean, this is realistic. If you contrast this with medieval religious sculpture, this is realistic. The medieval European realistic sculpture is metaphysical. The mind is focused on the physical world. So, okay, this is the canon, and it's very, very important. However, and this is where I might get in trouble. I've gotten in trouble in other venues. World historians look at the Renaissance in a very different perspective. I'll be very precise to give you an example of what I mean. If I were teaching a course, designing a course at the college level on Western European history, a survey of Western European history, I'd give a week, maybe 2 weeks, week and a half, 10 days, 7, 8 days to the study of the Italian Renaissance. I'd go through all those examples and many others. In a World History Survey, they give us 1 day. Not to say that the Renaissance is unimportant. What I am saying is that world historians are interested in the Renaissance as it fits into a broader picture. You see, most historians emphasize and focus on what happens internally in one place. Just think about most of the history courses that you've taken or the history books that you've read. It's the history of China from 1900 on. That's an internal focus. It's U.S. history, Civil War to the present. It's internal. Or it might be regional. It might be Latin American history before Columbus. World historians are interested in not replacing any of that, but putting the internal histories in a much broader context. That's where I'm going tonight. So hopefully, for those folks who are going to Italy, when you go to Italy, your appreciation of Italian history and Renaissance math will be just added to by this broader perspective, rather than challenged. So I'm going to start here. These are numbers from South Asia. The numbers on the left are the ones you recognize. These are Hindu numbers. They were developed in the Gupta Empire, capital G-U-P-T-A, about as far away from Tuscany and Florence as you can get. 4th century CE. So, if you take a look at my map here. Here we go. And this will illustrate not only the history of this number system, but it will give you a very clear indication of what world historians are interested in. Okay, so this number system was used over here to create modern bookkeeping. I'm interested in how it got there and why, or the multiple reasons. So it started here, and it was diffused along trade routes in Central Asia. What is this? This is Central Asia. I'm talking about the Silk Roads. I'm plural. Roads. Trade routes connecting what? East Asia, South Asia, Middle East, Eastern Europe, and what's here? This is the Mediterranean Sea right here.